Hi guys, today we are going to take a step away from Algebra 2 and start with something that is going to be brand new. We're just going to get like a little bit of an introduction to the unit circle, and when you guys come back after your winter break, we're going to start the unit circle and the trig unit for the year. So a unit circle is really just a circle. So as you're sitting there thinking about where a circle should be, so it's just a circle. And it's called a unit circle because the radius is 1 unit. Generic term, it could be anything you wanted it could be. It could be an inch, a mile, it could be 20 feet. It is just 1 unit. Now, I don't know if you're going to recall what happened whenever you were in geometry, but when we do measure things in a unit circle or in a circle, we start reading degrees over here. So this would be 0 degrees. This is 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 270 degrees. So we read this direction. So counterclockwise is positive readings. If I'm reading this direction, so clockwise, are negative degrees. And I know that you guys have done a little bit of this before, and hopefully you're going to be a little bit proficient at what you were doing with this. So you know that it would be 0, 90, 180, 270, and then all the way around the circle is going to be 360 degrees. If I wanted to go in the opposite direction, you would have 0 degrees, and reading this way would be negative 90 degrees, negative 180 degrees, negative 270 degrees, and then negative 360 degrees. So you just have to remember positive or negative, which direction do you want to go with this? So if I told you I wanted to see 100 degrees and how you would measure that, you would start here and you would go just past 90 degrees. That would be 100 degrees. If I said, what is negative 210 degrees, then you would start here, your initial side. You would go around 180, a little bit more. So negative 210 degrees would be here. All right, well, I'm not going to spend a lot of time right now talking about like how to measure things in degrees, because I think most of you are aware of how to do that. I really want to think for a minute about what happens in radians. Okay, in radians, a radian is a length of the radius measured along the circumference of a circle. So while an angle is measuring the degree of something, a radian is measuring the arc. All right, so let's say I had a perfect circle, and I know I don't, but hopefully it's going to be pretty close to be able to getting what I need to be able to do with this. So if I could put this on my paper here, and I have a length of string, which I had a second ago. Okay, if I took a length of string and I measured my radius, so my radius would be about this much. I'm going to try really hard not to stretch and I know this is not going to be perfect. So this length for this particular unit circle, this would be the measure of 1 radian. Okay, so if I were to take and lay this out along my circle, I would have, there is 1 radian, there is 2, there would be 3 radians, oops, 2, 3, and then continuing on around my circle, 4, 5, and 6. So that would be 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 and a bit radians in a circle. And it doesn't matter what size circle you have. If you can measure off what the radius is, it's still going to be about, it's going to give you the same markings. There's 1 radian, 2, 3, 4, because they're all the same distance apart. So when you look at this, this is 3 and a bit radians. Actually, it's 3.14 or pi radians. So when I'm marking it off, that would be telling me how much one particular radian would be. So if I was looking at this now, and I know I can go all the way around the circle, so this would be 0 radians. So this is going to be pi radians. This would be pi half, because I would cut it in half. And this would be pi plus pi half, or 3 pi half radians, and then another pi around, so 2 pi radians. So a circle has 360 degrees or 2 pi radians. So if I wanted to, so today's lesson is just kind of like introducing you to what you need to know. And what I want to do today is I want to convert from degrees into radians, and from radians into degrees. Okay, so that would be my goal with this. All right, if I know that 180 degrees is equal to pi radians, and 90 degrees is equal to pi half radians, how can I get from one to the other? So there is a formula for that. So if I want to go from degrees into radians, you're going to take the degree measure and you're going to multiply by pi over 180. Pi would be half the circle in radians, 180 is half of the circle in degrees. So if I was looking for what is going to be 30 degrees, so 30 degrees would be 30 times pi over 180. So 30 pi over 180, reducing that gives me pi over 6 radians. 200 degrees. So 200 times pi over 180. So 200 pi over 180. Then reducing that out gives me 10 pi over 9. All right, so you guys try 170 degrees. So 170. If I said negative 50 degrees. So negative 50 there you go. So some nice simple problems to do. Again, it's the degree times pi over 180. Well, if I want to go the other direction, so let's say I have 3 pi over 4, and I want to know what degree that is. So to go from radians to degrees, you use the reciprocal. It is the radian times 180 over pi. So 3 pi over 4 times 180 over pi. So I can reduce all my pi's. And you might try to figure out how you can best do something like this. So if I said 4 goes into 18, 4, and then there's 40 left over, 20 left over, so 45. And then multiply 3 times 45, and you get 135 degrees. I have 2 pi over 9, then multiply by 180 over pi. So your pi's are going to reduce out, and 9 goes into 180 20 times. So that would be 40 degrees. If I had negative 7 pi over 6 times 180 over pi. Reduce out your pi's. 6 goes into 180 30 times, so negative 210 degrees. Right. A nice, hopefully simple, easy lesson is where you're going to convert and think about where things are. Oh, if I just said I had, let's say I have 3 radians, and I want to know what that is. So 3 radians would be 3 times 180 over pi, which for this one to work, I'm going to have to take 540 divided by pi, and I want to actually be able to do the math of that. So 540 divided by pi, and you're going to end up getting that as 171.89 degrees. So just because it's a number does not mean that it's going to be degrees. That could be radians as well. All right. So hopefully that's a nice, easy explanation. Remember, degrees to radians, you multiply by pi over 180. And to go from radians into degrees, you multiply by 180 over pi. Tomorrow we're going to work on coterminal angles. So just getting a little bit of an introduction.